Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Fresh Start Quarterly Planning. This time is ideally to help each and every one of us to be able to make the most of each quarter. All right. And so I like for you to look at your year in quarters rather than when you're setting your goals and all, rather than just setting a whole 1 year goal. There's nothing wrong with it. But in that 1 year goal, try to fit things each into each quarter. And by now, you know that importance of working in 3 year increments. So for every year, we are looking at our year, not by year. We're looking at our year in sort of in increments of 3 years. All right. So in 3 years, where do I want to be? And in that 3 years, you now break your 3 year down to quarters. Okay, so this is just a little bit of what we've been talking about 360 transformation. So for a 360 transformation, we are looking at 3 years. All right, and we're going to break our 3 years into quarters. If there are 4 quarters in a year, that means we have 12 quarters to work with. So that helps you break things down easily to be able to accomplish the goals that you want to accomplish and be able to see yourself moving forward. All right. So you look at this year, which quarter are you in right now, right? Out of the 12. Okay. If you have any questions, feel free to put in the chat. So we're going to use the fresh guide. So if team, if you can post the guide again into the chat so that if anyone comes in, they can also have access to. I highly recommend you print it out or have it in a device so you can write over it. So we're going to go through and then hopefully that can set you in the direction that you need to go to. All right, let's get started. So before we go on, I want to bring your mind to it that life flows in seasons, as we know, right? If you look at life, here we have spring, summer, fall, winter, right? And so some of the things that you do in summer, you will not necessarily do in the fall. And so that is also with our lives, right? We shouldn't be, if you want to be productive, don't be quick to cramp everything into one quarter. No, you know that you have 12 quarters in that 3 year plan. So what can I do quarter one? That still points me in the direction that I need to go so that by by quarter 12, I have been able to accomplish the things that I said I want to accomplish, right? And so I know you have a lot of things going on and a lot of roles that you play. And so the whole point of what this activity we're going to do is to help you do what is needful in this season that you're in. We're all in different areas of our life. And so it doesn't make one better than the other, but it just means that we are in tune with that so that we can better plan. All right. Okay. So let's get started. So before we go on, you identify the quarter that you're in, as we know, and then you ask yourself, what season are you in? I want you to assess the season that you're in, different areas of your life. If you want to add another area, feel free to do so. But look at your well being. Where are you? Explain what is happening. Look at your career. Where are you? Explain why you are where you are, right? Your relationships, your finances, your lifestyle. These ones are highlighted because for any professional you talk to, these areas matter a lot. I want to go on the record. Your spiritual growth is necessary. So it's not one of the things to decide whether or not to do it at every season. It is something you want to build on throughout. But these areas are particular ones that, you can spread it out to be able to better be present in the areas that you are. All right. So I want to, again, this is an activity based. And so what I'm doing here is to help you think about these things and hopefully you get a printout of it or access it on your own and take time, literally give your time, set 30 minutes. You'll be amazed how much you can get through with this. All right. Are we good? Give me a one in the chat if you're following me. So maybe you are in an area in your life where your well-being is not where it ought to be. That ought to be an area you need to focus on this season. Maybe you're in an area where your career is not where it ought to be. You just know it. that is an area that you feel is necessary to focus on that, you want to be able to focus on that. So this is a very good way to check in. All right. So once we check in, I want you to now screen to pick the ones you need to focus on right now in your season, in this next 3 months that you have. All right. So look at your priority check. I want to go on the record. Everything is just as important. Everything is necessary. However, you've been trying to do everything all at once and it doesn't lead anywhere. So we have to make some tough decisions right now. Which area am I going to focus a lot more on in order to be better positioned to focus on the next and the next? So you have to do a priority test. You're going to assign a score of 1 to 3 on priority so that we'll be able to now fish out what you need to focus on. All right. Again, your spiritual and other, your identity and all of that is something that you must be evolving and doing throughout. So I didn't add that in here because that is something that will sustain you, right? If you don't know who you are, how you're going to show up in your relationships, how would you handle your career? All right. So your spiritual part and identity, spiritual and identity are so key, right? That is added on there already. So now let's assess. So you look at your well-being. What value would you place on it at this moment? Is it a high priority to you? Maybe your health is not where it ought to be. You are experiencing some things that's happening and it's literally asking for your attention. Then that is a high value. All right. Or career, maybe where you are, you don't like the job, you're looking for something, there's a lot. You need to focus, right? You need to give a high score to that. Relationships, whatever it is, maybe, things are not working how it ought to be in your relationship, marriage, certain friendships or dynamics at work, whatever, and if you need to address it now, then you need to give it a high priority. Finances, not where it ought to be. I know you're probably saying, can I pick all? Yes, but that's why we have different segments that will get to help us decide which one we need to focus on. All right. And I want to tell you, you're only going to end up picking 3 out of that 5. All right. So which one is time sensitive? Like it's literally saying it needs to be, if we don't address it now, it's going to affect certain things in the future. So that also you need to give it a higher priority. What's got to give? Like what is on the line? You understand what's got to give in this time in this area, right? Or what in the sense if you don't get it in a sense, what are you going to miss out on if you don't handle it, or what are you going to quote unquote lose out on, right? Or miss. So gain or miss out if you don't. All right. You can't afford to lose that thing. You can't afford not to have that. You got energy check, right? You have to look at this, think about it. Is it going to require, like, you need to be present? It's not something that you can just do away with. Like, it requires energy. Do you understand? Are you following me? If you're following me, please put a 1. It would require your energy, it would require your time. You just have to be there. Then you want to you want to look at that, right? It is, you also want to look, is it something that you can delegate or have some are there avenues to delegate? Like you can, I want you to, because you don't have to do this alone, right? So is there, because if something you need to delegate, and maybe if you don't delegate it this season, you may never get that opportunity. So is there an opportunity to delegate? That is of high priority. That makes like, okay, I need to do it now. Accountability. Is there someone positioned right now? You may not necessarily have that person the next time, right? Maybe they might be busy, or is there a need for accountability? And that accountability is now in this next 3 months that you can take advantage of that. So once you do that, you would add up all the total here. All right. You add up everything, and then you're going to look at your scores. How do you feel about the ones that you scored the highest on? Does it surprise you that it is something you need to focus on now? Why does it surprise? Why does it surprise, or why not does it surprise you? You want to make that note now, okay? It's very, very necessary. So now that you have identified your top three scores, you know, then you will put them in your priority reason and then give the reason is scored so high. You would know, right? You would know. If let's say finances, you can say I can barely make it through the month, especially in these times and that people are having issues, right? Barely make it with what you're getting paid. So it's like it's affecting your way of living and doing the things that you need to do. You will have the reason. So far as you do this exercise, there will be no question. Again, this is giving you clarity so you can go full force on the areas that need your attention right now to better position you for the next quarter and the next. All right? All right, are we good? Awesome. All right, so now we're going to look at our vision, okay? Our vision board. All right, so we're going to in the spaces, you can feel free to write, feel free to paste pictures or elements to show what you want to see. By the end of this month, what do I want, this quarter, what do I want my finances to look like? Right? You're picturing, it will resonate with you, will feel right, right? You're not wishing or just calling for anything. You are like, this makes sense. This is what I see for my life. I am the CEO of my life. This is the life God has given me. Certain things are resonating with me. This is what I want to see my finances. This is what I want to see my career, in my well-being, and what have you. All right. You want to use words, you want to use pictures, symbols, things that will automatically catch your attention because you are right, you're zoning in, working to help you ensure that you are positioned right. All right. Let's move on. So now we have identified our three. Now, it's wonderful if you now have identified the three, but if you don't take the next step, those priorities, you will meet them again the next quarter. And so, what we need to do is to now focus on our habits. What are specific habits that you can start putting in place that are measurable to ensure that you are carrying out the things you need to carry and eventually seeing the results of the things that you wanted to see when you first did this activity. So when it comes to your well-being, your welfare, all of those things, your career, relationships, all of what are you going to do? You know me, I always tell you, make it very simple, you know, make it very simple. You are trying, what you're building is a lifestyle, right? A lifestyle of productivity. I told you from in terms of the 360-degree, right? Our first year, our foundational years. And so as you build this lifestyle, guess what? Or you set these habits in place. The beautiful thing about it is the habits you create now, you'll be able to utilize those habits next quarter, then the next quarter, right? So it carries over and it will end up even you see yourself progressing like never before. So you want to be able to identify your habit, know what are you going to do about this habit? Are you going to do it daily, weekly, monthly, and you're going to track it. So here is the table here, right? What is the habits that you can do? So for example, if you have, let's say you're looking at your, you know, let's say you're looking at your finances, right? What are you going to do? Track your habits. If you need a copy of a money planner, if you don't have one already, let us know. We'll give you access to it. You can start saying that one of the habits is I want to be able to track my money, know what is coming in and know what's going out so I can know if there are other ways to bring in more money. You understand? You want to be very, very clear on it because when you are clear on your habits, no vagueness, right? That way you can be able to carry it out and then track it. Am I doing what I said I was going to do? I said I was going to do it monthly. Is that what happened last month? I'm going to do it daily. Am I doing that? You're checking all those boxes there. All right. So each and every area. How many of you I want to put, you can put in the chat already can identify one key area that you're like, this thing that keeps screaming in the back of my mind that I need to work with it or handle it once and for all this quarter? How many of you can say, based on what we just talked about, there's one thing on that list that you're thinking, this one for sure, I need to um, get it right this quarter, and I'm going to get it right. Let me know in the chat. Wonderful. Yeah, you can relate. Great. Great. This is what we mean by strategically planning. We are not hitting a miss. We are getting things as start as it ought to. All right. So now, wonderful. You've identified your areas and all. Now, I want you, as the CEO that you are, you play several roles. All right. So in these top three priority areas that you have, I want you to now think about the roles that you play in these areas. So in your career, your well-being, and when you think about it, I'm going to bring your mind to it. If you are not, let's say your career is not where it ought to be, it's going to affect, let's say if you have children, right? Your role as a parent will be affected in a sense because there are certain things you need to provide for them you may not be able to. Do you get what I mean? Let's say that your well-being can also affect the role that you play as a wife, as a husband, as a an employer. Like you would the role of this exercise is really for you to know how intertwined these areas of your life feed or how connected these areas of your lives are to one another. So, being a present parent, being an effective employee, being a business owner, or different areas, pastor, all of those different things that you look. Your well-being is important. Your finances are important. Your lifestyle is important. All of these things are very much important in sustaining those roles. So what we're going to do is identify the key roles that we play, all right, in these life areas. All right. So for example, if the role you play as a parent, right? Weekly game nights, bedtime, you're not able to do those things because of your career. Maybe you're in a very demanding career. It's going to affect that role. If you're a professional, you know that there are things that you're going to be doing, but you're not able to do because, financially wise, you will now have like five jobs that you're doing. And so the career you're supposed to build, you're not able to build and like attending networking sessions, So I want you to really be very practical about this thing. All right. And try to connect it. So what role are you playing? You look at your three priorities. What role are you playing? What will you adjust in those roles? That would help you better so that next time when you look at that life area that you chose, you will see progress, right? What are some things that you need to adjust? Who can support you? It's so important. You are not an island. We are a community, especially we have a community. You want to take advantage of your support system that you have, right? And people that are already in place, ready to work with you. Do not feel like you are working alone, all right? So I want you to define the roles, right? So part of the role as being a business owner, an employee, a spouse, a parent, a Christian. I mean, there's many roles that you play. You know it, right? What do you need to adjust about it? Again, make sure that that role that you're picking is linked to your priority list. But I can guarantee you, a lot of the roles you play are linked to it anyway, so you don't even have to think twice. All right. And then you fill out those part so that you can be able to, oh, maybe I need to contact this person, maybe I need to contact so and so. Oh, wow, yeah, this person would have been great to support me on this journey. I have a question. That question, answering that question will position me better for the roles, which will eventually feed into my priority area. So you're seeing how step by step it's helping you connect. If you're following me, please put a one in the chat when it comes to defining your roles. When it comes to defining your roles. So maybe you are a girlfriend or waiting, preparing to get married. Maybe you just got a new job. Maybe you're transitioning. Maybe, you're a spouse. a partner, you have your parent, maybe all of these different roles. Now you ask yourself, which roles feel well supported by what you are currently doing? You can say, wow, this role I'm in, I feel like I have the right support to be able to do what I need to do. As an entrepreneur, I have a solid management system, or as a group of people that I'm working with that is helping move forward. As an employee, I have a great supervisor that has been helping me, channel. Oh, as raising my children, I have a very, supportive husband or wife that is helping. Do you understand? Oh, in my marriage, I have this person or this spiritual guy that is helping. Like, what roles do you feel are supported by action? Now, what roles need more attention? What roles need more attention and why? Right? Not able to present myself as this wonderful parent because, again, there's a lot. Go to work very early, come to work, come home late. Why? Because of finances, right? It links. There's always a link, and you want to identify that link so that you can change it. Are these actions, are there actions that could serve multiple roles effectively? What can you do that in an attempt to help in one role, you can help the other, it helps the other. Okay. So as an employee, maybe it's time to look at promotion. You've been too comfortable at the position you're in. If you're able to go up for promotion, which you can, or transition the job, that could free up some space for you and your family, right? So you see how the roles, these two different roles, are impacted. It affects your finance, all of that as a result of taking that action. A lot of times we leave a lot of things outside on the table thinking that it's in isolation, but it's not. All right. So at this point, I want to know in the chat, what are you feeling? Do you feel like, okay, I have a better understanding of how to tackle my quarter? What is it that you are taking from this as we run off? Again, it's just really to guide you, but I highly recommend if you're able to dive in and go into right now, please do so. Print it out if you can, or take a notebook and write and get that sorted. You can put in the chat anything like, does that give you a better guide of how to tackle? We've looked at our areas in our lives that we need to focus on and the roles that fuel those areas. And looking at those areas, in those roles, we have to identify what habits, right? And to what frequency can I put certain things in place in order to be able to bring some progress in these areas? Because once these areas, they are connected either way. Once you are seeing progress in one, it will filter into the other. And you want to look at it wholly so that you don't just focus on one area and then like you're chasing money. I need to increase my finances and get this job that now puts you in another place where your well-being is at stake. So we cannot look at it in isolation and have that in the back of your mind, right? What is there to give? And how ready are you to be able to give in order to be able to bring some sort of wholeness and roundness in all areas of your life? So the key point is, when you're done, you want to check in with yourself weekly. All right, because this is not something we're just going to do and just leave it alone. You want to check in with yourself. How you feeling? This is the 3 areas you want to work on. What is your energy check like? Do you feel like, yes, I'm seeing progress? Or do you feel overwhelmed? If you feel overwhelmed, then you need to address that. Maybe you need, this support, or maybe you're taking on too many habits that you want to change all at once. All right. And so you list some actions that would help you feel accomplished. What are some things that if I do today, I can say, wow, this is pointing me in the right direction, or what I need to do for my role, right? So again, you're focusing on your roles. Your roles could mix up. It's very much intertwined, right? You can find, but the key point is, I want you to show, to identify those roles, because let's say me being a parent, for example, right? If I have identified, let's say my career as a place I want to grow in, I need to factor in being a parent and a spouse, because if I'm not careful, right, in an attempt to do certain things at work, it can affect the roles that I play. So you want to know, okay, if I'm increasing that, I have in the back of my mind these roles. So then that means I'm taking the necessary steps to free up some space so I can be present in these roles, right? So it's working together. If you follow me, please put a one. You want to make sure that the areas you're working shouldn't get you out of touch of the roles you play, okay? But the areas you are taking is, in a sense, you're making sure the areas you're checking, the roles are working hand in hand. Oh, I see. Now, I want to be very productive at work. Here's an example. So I would go in, I'll give you a typical example what I'm doing here. I realized that, I like to work late. And so my son also ends up sleeping late. So one of the things that we're doing as a family is that, putting things in place so that we can all go sleep early. And I won't sleep early. I can wake up early and get some things done before he wakes up, because I need to get some things done at work, right? And then by the time I go to work, I'm already a head start. I can now work in the time frame. If you know me, I used to work till 9 p.m. I can go and work. I mean, I'm in the office. I get home sometimes 10. That was terrible times. But now I have a hard call. By 5, I'm done because I already had a head start in the morning, right? And so I'm done. I pick him up from school. We come home. We get ready for the night, go to sleep early. We start up, right? So what is happening? I'm seeing growth in my career and my productivity at work because of those changes. And how is that affecting my role as a parent, as a spouse? I'm able to have more time because we've been able to structure things. That is what I want you to see. I don't want an attempt like I'm doing work so much that now I don't have time for my family. Got it? Are you following me? So that's the kind of reasoning and things that you need to do and invest and talk. And you realize that indirectly. So right now, what habits have I gotten? I've gotten the habit of waking up early, feeling refreshed because I went to bed late, early. Do you understand? So it's also triggering into my well-being. So it's amazing how these areas are intertwined. It's still so I finish feeling well in, career intact, well-being also intact, those kinds of things. So it doesn't feel overwhelming doing things in isolation. All right. And then based off of what you see, I gave you an extra one here, but again, we are doing three, right? But based on your focus each week, you want to write a positive statement that will help you ponder. You know me by now, I am big on principles, right? Being able to be in principles, following on certain things. And so for me, for example, different years. So, for example, this year, my focus is on consolidation. So everything that I'm doing, when I'm writing, even in the statement, I'll say I will not lose anything to nothing is um loose, right? Everything is well put together. So in my career, in my family, in my this, in my ministry, in my business, in all of this, everything is well put together. That is a statement I can ponder on throughout the month, throughout the day, throughout the quarter, and on and on. So the next quarter comes, I have my things in order. Do you understand? Then you have another statement you're working with. Don't feel like you have to come up with something new every time. No, that could be something you can ponder. I'm pondering on that fact even for a whole year. You understand? Because you are building yourself in a way that you will be unstoppable. Always, report your progress, how you're doing, and why, and all of that. And then these are different weeks, but then you can look at your quarter and also check your progress on your quarter. All right. Are there any questions? Wait. So as we wrap up here, I hope that this exercise lets you know how points in the direction of having a well-rounded life and how the practical steps on how to do that. And so we will leave the floor open. Feel free to put in the chat what is your one takeaway message, or if you have a question, feel free to put that there. I'm seeing a message here. This was great. Nothing is really in this isolation. Exactly. Right? Everything is connected. And so even though you have to pick three out of the different life areas, at the end of the day, those three will feed into the next season of what the things you need still adds up and very much points you in the right direction. The different, you're saying on the chart, it says the different areas in our lives feed and support other areas. Yes. Yes. Just like your hand is connected to your body and your leg, your head, all of it, all connected into this being, so is the different areas of your life. There any others? Please put that in the chat as we round off. So you would realize that at the end, and as I'm waiting for that, you realize that at the end of your quarter, you would be able to write a statement like, I see the progress I've made. You're able to write a statement that will prepare you for the next quarter. So these 12 quarters are literally feeding one into the other, into the other, into the other. And this is helping you build yourself in a way that you are well established, well rounded in all areas of your life. All right. Has this been helpful? Has this been helpful in preparing? This is in the beginning of the quarter. Has this been helpful to look at certain areas and say, you know what? I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. All right, wonderful. Well, we will pause here and from time to time check in with yourself. Feel free. It is important that you seek the support that you need. Again, I can't stress on it enough how important that is and how it would help you be able to move forward. So, on that note, I want to tell you, as always, keep on folding. There's more to you than meets the eye. There is a lot more, but if you keep tapping in, keep processing through, you will see more and more of yourself than you've ever seen. And I am very much excited about your progress and looking forward to an exciting, productive quarter because you are more of a producer than you are of a consumer. Have that in mind. All right. Congratulations in advance. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, have a fruitful quarter. All right.